Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. Kent Adams here. And one of the things I really like is to have good people on my program. And not that I ever not have good people, but when they're your friend and they really care about this community, it makes it a little extra special. And that's what it's going to be today. I'm pleased to have Larry Haskell, who is our Spokane County Prosecutor. And I don't think he has any warrants with him today, but we'll be talking with Larry. Yeah, I kind of got that from him. We'll be talking with Larry right after this.
National Barricade and Sign Company is a well-established company founded in 1957. National Barricade has become a well-known business in the Spokane Valley for more than 50 years. Over the years, we have built long-lasting relationships with many cities, counties, and their departments of transportation. Customers come to us because they know they are going to get the best quality service at the best possible price. National Barricade prides itself on getting the job done in a timely manner. We know that contractors must have certain items in a timely fashion to get their job done, and if we don't have it, we will get it. We guarantee fast service no matter how long it takes.
Well, welcome, Larry Haskell, Spokane County Prosecutor. You've been elected twice now. We won't talk about the third time because that's off in the future, right? And then I think there's fourth, fifth, and sixth. No. If your wife sees this, she'll come after me.
She'll be down here to cut you.
Yeah, no kidding. Let me just ask, how are you doing these days?
I'm busy. We're, what?
And in your line of work, that's not good, though, is it?
Well, yeah, but it's typical.
Yeah, okay.
It really is. And what with the COVID court adjustments that we've had to make, we have the inbox filling. And the outflow has been slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so, but still you have to make sure that you're meeting discovery obligations and all the things that you would do normally. And
it sits.
But you're not getting rid of those cases.
Yeah.
You're not getting the outflow as much. So if the staff is busy, then I'm busy too.
Yeah. When do you think we'll be back to normal?
That depends on the governor, apparently.
We don't want to go there, do we?
No.
Okay, because one of us might say swear words or something like that.
Something along the life of a lifetime might come to mind.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to live in the real world like the rest of us do, out trying to do business, trying to protect the community, and so forth. And
well, there's costs out there in terms of mental health and not only the individual costs of the extra stress and
yes.
the longer, the worse, but also the businesses in Spokane, the small businesses that are really the lifeblood of the community.
Yes.
It's where the local money comes in, local money is churned around, and local money comes out again. Right. Those are the ones that are really paying the heavy burden and the price of the continued phase 2, phase 3, back to 2, all that kind of stuff is tough on them.
And everybody, I think one of the maybe positives, and I put that low on the list from this, is I think there are a lot of people out there who have always had the misconception that Fred over here owns a small business, he's got it made. We've all seen the Freds and Janes the last year plus barely get by, and many of them close down and go bankrupt and everything else that goes with it. And I think I've probably mentioned this to you before. I talk to a lot of small businesses. That's who advertises on our station, okay? And I've quit asking how things go because I can only take so much of the watering in the eyes. And actually every time I've asked one, Ken, I'm not worried about me, but I know Fred and Jane and Sue that have been on the staff are so much part of our team and so forth, and I don't know what's going to happen to them. I know their husbands' birthdays. I know their kids' names, those kinds of things. We have a family business here. It's not just my wife and I, but it's, and it's tough. It's been a tough year, and we're not out of it yet. And I just hope we don't continue to lose some more businesses. One of the things that piqued my interest the other day, and that's why I called you, was, I'm not going to get it right, so you're going to correct me. It's the County Justice Council. That's short term for
the Spokane Regional Law and Justice Council.
Okay, it's like you're in the business and you know what's going on.
Scary.
Yeah, I know it is. Well, there's been some talk. We've seen cities and states releasing a lot of even those that are put in prison without parole. There's discussion of that. There's been a real, in my mind, a real turn to protect more of the offender than there is of those who have been offended. And I'm not talking about, well, I'm talking about both the community and the family that's been involved and so forth. What I've heard from Ozzy and others is that this group is really there to protect those who are incarcerated, whether it be in the county system or prison system or whatever, that we're really headed in that direction. Am I wrong?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And in fact, most of the voices, and in particular of the public members that are on the Law and Justice Council, speak for, as they call it, the justice impacted. But I view everybody in the community as justice impacted.
Or the rest of us.
They're not the only ones impacted by crime, but in their perspective, they know better how to pave the way forward, if you will, because of the fact that at one point in time, they used to call themselves the formerly incarcerated, and to getting away from the labels that
Any stigmas.
Any stigmas,
Yeah.
exactly correct. Yeah. So, but if you live in a community, and whether you pay taxes or you're not, you are justice impacted in the sense of if we start to ignore the rule of law
Yes.
and get away from the constitutional principles and also the statutory scheme, then everybody is justice impacted. And it'll be more or less direct depending on the luck of the draw, so to speak. For instance, right now we have a lot of drive-by shootings going on in the area, and but for where you are at a given time, any one of us could be struck by an errant bullet.
Right.
So it is very important that we pay attention to the fact that crime is going on, and we have to hold offenders accountable for it. And in doing that, you actually do keep the community safer.
Right. But we also provide quite extensive help to these folks too, both in prison and following and so forth, right?
Correct, and Spokane is very active in that area.
We're on kind of the leading edge in some ways.
Well, they call it Wraparound Services.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better. But also the Department of Corrections is taking it much more seriously as we move down the road, as they release more people and the legislature passes statutes that shortens the sentences. They are putting programming together, but that'll be some period of time to see how effective that is. Recidivism rates are measured out as far as 5 years later.
So tell me a little bit, because I'm sure you either attend or have someone attending these meetings. What are some of the things that you're hearing that they want to do
Well,
that we citizens may not like?
Well, the majority of voices that are on there are anti-use of pretrial jail. They don't want to have a discussion about a new jail. They believe that we mass incarcerate, which if you look at the population of the Spokane County Jail at any given time, including Geiger, now this is pre-pandemic, it was roughly 1,000 people. We got over 500,000 people in the county, so you're talking a percentage of a percent. It's very, very small, and even prosecutors across the state have taken a hard look and only want to keep people in that really truly represent a threat to the community. And it's not just a violent threat also. When you've got 17 felony convictions, say for instance, for property crimes, that's a threat to the community as well. And one thing that I have never forgotten is early on in my career, there was a case that we prosecuted that began as a burglary, a simple burglary.
Yeah.
The only problem is somebody was home and then that person ended up losing their life. So property crime can end up in a homicide very quickly. So there's a lot of factors that go into the decision for a prosecutor. They're guided by statutes and court rules, but also you look at criminal history, the type of crimes, the number of convictions, and that sort of thing.
I get the both the city and the county police reports of they captured so-and-so after a chase and all that and took them to jail and so forth. I can't tell you how many times that they were out on a warrant or had been convicted 6, 7, 8, 10 times. I sit there as a homeowner wanting to be safe, especially when I'm not home and my family's more vulnerable, okay? We've got to start thinking about it. I know you do. Start thinking about the rest of us to be protected. And if you have several convictions, you ought to be on the list to go back to jail until your trial is finished.
Right. Well, very often I get asked the question about that. How can somebody be out and they have this double-digit number of convictions? And people say, well, whatever happened to the 3 strikes law? Well, the 3 strikes law only applies to a very tiny number of the felonies, and they're the most violent, like murder and first-degree robbery, first-degree burglary, and that sort of thing. But yes, you're right. Those other people are still a threat to the community because it doesn't take but just a tiny little fact to change, and the next thing you know, somebody's lost their life or they're seriously injured. And I always ask, what is the cost of the loss of sense of personal security in your own home? Can you please quantify that? Because they always like to talk about how much they save if they have somebody not in jail when they can be out. Well, I understand that, but you're also paying for services for that person. You're paying for their medical. You're paying for their drug treatment. You're paying for their mental health care. You may be giving them a place to live.
There are still costs.
And there's still costs associated with it, but they don't like to talk about those costs because they reduce that savings number to possibly no savings whatsoever.
Yeah, it's tough. I probably have told you this story before, but years ago, when I was helping Jeff Holy run for office and so forth, and he said, one of the key. I asked him, "What are your key issues?" Well, it's being safe on the streets, and I said, "No, it's being safe in our neighborhoods. It's neighborhoods that need to be safe." I go home to my neighborhood. Yes, it might be a speeder or someone who goes through a red light and all of that. But the harm can really come. I can't stop that darn speeder. But we can put back in jail the person who's robbed a store a couple of times and burglarized somebody several times. That we need to feel safe in our neighborhoods. We're a community of neighborhoods, and we want to feel safe.
Absolutely, and when you're downtown too.
Yep, yes. In fact, we're going to be doing a story on all that's going on downtown. My wife, I hate to tell this to Mark Richards, I said my wife will not go downtown. She does not feel safe, okay? My guess is my wife is not unlike many others out there, okay? I don't mind going downtown. I know what to do. It's during the day and everything else, but we need to have our entertainment open again at night. The music, the laughter, the dinners, the getting together with friends and that sort of thing. And if we can't convince our community and those that visit us that it is safe, when everything really does get open, we're not going to really be open because more businesses will close. We've got to get back to that, don't we?
It's the lifeblood.
It really is. It really is. And what happens in downtown starts to happen in other parts of our community.
And we've seen that with some of the crimes that I've discussed already.
Yeah.
For sure.
What are some of the big issues right now going on in your office? What do we look forward to? I don't mean that in a positive way, but I mean, what's coming down the line? Hopefully, maybe by summer or fall, we can be back to a more normal court schedule and play catch up and so forth.
Yeah, we're slowly making progress in
Are
that
ya?
area. The court's been pretty creative
Okay.
about developing alternative sites. We've got a couple of sites for major trials
Okay.
that are actually off the court campus. We also have made a lot of modifications to the courtroom itself so that, the appropriate protections are there. We get, I think we've been getting as high, if not higher, juror response than we did pre-pandemic.
Okay.
So that's good news too. The accommodations are there. The pace is picking up.
Good.
But it's far from pre-pandemic levels as far as the amount of time it takes from filing to case resolution.
Okay, I'm going to ask a political question.
Sure.
When do we get to put the ballot issue for a new jail?
That is a good question. It's political. And
It is political.
And the problem is in my view, is getting enough people the information that they need to make an informed decision.
Right.
I know that a lot of groundwork was done several years ago. The population has gone up since then, so the numbers are different. The construction costs, if you're in construction, construction costs.
Don't build it out of wood.
Exactly. Somebody said they passed a guy with a truckload of wood and said, "Hey, there's a millionaire."
No kidding.
Just,
Yeah.
$1 million worth of lumber on the back. But we're, the big thing is to try to get the public educated, do it fairly, do it accurately. If you don't want anybody in jail, make your pitch.
Maybe facts instead of feelings.
Facts instead of feelings. I always believe that that's the case.
Yeah.
We preach that to juries. We want the public to vote on facts and not feelings as
Right.
well. To the extent that we can get that out, when that'll actually appear on the ballot, ultimately it'll be up to the Board of County Commissioners. They'll decide whether that goes on there or not, and when, and in what amount. From my perspective, I think there's a lot of functions today in the more modern world than back in the 80s when the current jail was built that jails can do besides merely incarcerate.
Right.
And there's levels of incarceration. There's day reporting. There's a lot of things that can be done. And with a new facility where you can move people from one level to another as their circumstance changes or judicial decisions are made on
Well,
their
you
case.
give them an incentive to do better,
Exactly. So there's a lot of benefit to having a modern facility that's flexible enough to be able to meet these varying needs and, of course, to accommodate the growth of the community that we're talking about. The Spokane County population has gone up over a third. It could be approaching a half by now. Since the jail was built in the 80s. Heck, I was flying B-52s out here when the thing was built. That's a long time ago, trust me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, you're old.
I am,
Yeah.
incredibly so.
And you aren't. What else should we be looking at? What as you sit there as our county prosecutor, you get to see a lot of the big picture with your staff. You've got a great staff, dedicated staff. They work hard, right from the support staff all the way through all your attorneys. I remember you telling me, and I so appreciate this, that you also practice what you preach. You're in the courtroom every so often.
Yeah. I don't get there enough. Actually, it's funny is a lot of the busyness in the position is basically the office manager, if you will, is dealing with staff-related issues.
Yes.
I have a huge staff. I've got about 155 total.
Wow.
Roughly half are attorneys. The others are non-attorney staff. There's always something going on, so you take care of those things. You got the political aspect of the job.
Yeah.
But when I campaigned in 2014, I said it should not be an event to see the elected prosecutor in a courtroom. It just shouldn't.
Yeah.
My opponent felt differently, but even though I have tried a very serious case, as you know, back in 2016, the Roy Murray case, Jack Driscoll and I tried that 6 weeks over the holidays at the end of 2016, and I'm on the Freeman case that's still alive and slowly moving along. But I have come to the conclusion, though, regardless of the fact that they can expect to see me, for some, it's still an event to see me there, as if to say, who's he looking at? What's he looking for? This and that and the other thing. But I do enjoy being an attorney. That's why I became one.
I was going to say, isn't that why you started this?
Precisely.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy going to court, and it's actually very therapeutic and an opportunity for me to demonstrate to the public that I meant what I said when I campaigned. None of that was empty. And one of the other things, when I talked about criminal justice reform, I'm trying to hold the line on that. We want criminal justice reform.
Yes.
But what I told Spokane in 2014 was I will not allow Spokane to become the petri dish for criminal justice reform. And I am very careful.
And in some cases to bring more federal dollars in for the sake of doing that.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Well, the legislature uses what they call evidence-based reforms. And if they're good enough for the legislature, they're good enough for Spokane because they're proven over time. They're not a pilot program, which is very popular with the current reform movement. Everything's a pilot. What a pilot mean is this is unproven, but we're going to try it here. Well, especially when it's failed, a given idea has failed in other jurisdictions like New York, then I'm not very impressed with that, and I'm going to fight those kinds of programs that, again, go back to violate the original promise I made to the Spokane public.
Well, and we see council members and others who want to bring in some programs because the dollars end up going to some of their friends and others who need work. Okay, am I saying something political? Yes, I am, but I do that. One last thing. I'm sad to report to you that my grandson has been accepted at Gonzaga University. And do you know what he wants to be? Do you know what law school he wants to go to?
Well, it doesn't sound like it's GU then.
Yeah, he wants to go to GU. Yes,
that's great.
Yeah, he wants to be an attorney.
Yeah,
he wants to go clean things up, is what he wants to do.
And what area of law does he want to practice?
I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to find time. We're going to have lunch, okay? So you can talk to him because I need somebody who really understands what's going on.
Sure.
But he got accepted to GU and he's excited.
That's great.
And he's tall enough. He could play basketball, but not against their team or with their team. But
Gonzaga has a heck of a team every year, and
we needed that this year, didn't we?
It was great.
Even though they came in second,
Yeah.
But they're going to try harder this next year. Wasn't there an ad some years ago?
Yeah. We're number 2. We try harder.
Yeah.
That was a car rental, I believe.
Yeah.
Avis, maybe.
Yes. Larry, thank you from all of us who care about our community of what you do. I know there's a lot of pressure. You have the 150-some people that report to you and work with you. They're dedicated. So a shout out to all of them, because I know they do the day in and day out work and make sure that all of our families are protected. So thank you for what you do for this community.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the shout out to my people, because they do. And as you know, government work, they're not in it to get rich. They're here for the public service, and
yes.
I will take that to heart and bring it back to them. And
okay, please do, because there are a lot more people out there who believe in what I just said than those that say all the negative things. Okay?
Well, and I try
and
to.
We don't get the word out very often.
No, I try to say, just because you're the loudest does not necessarily make you the majority.
Yes, well, we have a loud bullhorn here, so that's why I say it. Larry, thank you very much for coming in today. And
thanks for asking.
We've got to have you back again, okay?
Yes, sir. You let me know.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching The Pulse of Spokane with our Spokane County Prosecutor, Larry Haskell. Thanks. Have a good day, everybody.
Reel in the savings all month long at Wendell Nissan at the Y. Test drive a new Nissan today and enter to win a fishing trip with Northwest Fishing Report.
That's right, Andy, a trip for 2 with me and guide Steve Morris as we film an upcoming episode of Northwest Fishing Reports TV.
and you might make the show. Here's one of our great sales team members with more exciting offers.
Hi, I'm Jim. Check out this 2021 Nissan Murano and the all-new Nissan Rogue. We've got great incentives going on all month long, and bringing your trade is probably worth more than you think it is.
Come see us at Wendell Nissan at the Y or wendellnissan.com.
This is Looms Day in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Blooms Day.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Blooms Day wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
Welcome to Apex Plaza, Spokane's one-stop cannabis destination. Apex Cannabis features thousands of economy, value, and luxury cannabis products. Cannagear features hemp-based CBD products, glass, goods, and gear. Stop by 1325 North Division to experience the Apex difference.
This product has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risk associated with the consumption of this product. For use only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.
When building a home or considering a major remodel, who are you going to choose? The Spokane Home Builders Association is an organization that works to elevate professionalism in the residential construction industry. We promote, protect, and educate for our community, building our community one home at a time. We are the Spokane Home Builders Association.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Pulse. We are where you are. Check us out on any of these other platforms as well as our website. This show is sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Homes for You, and Apex Cannabis.